Good evening, folks, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined by my merry band of cohorts. This week we have everyone's resident favorite teacher of the Kirby variety.
Howdy, folks.
Kirby.
And we also have everyone's favorite RP hologram with us again this week, Artie.
Hey, guys.
And we also have our resident Neela, our crazy console guy.
What up, all you crazy people?
But anyways, we've not really got a lot to go through this week, but all the same, we're going to bring you guys what we have, and hopefully the information is of some use. We're actually on our Fleet Starbase today, well, a Fleet Starbase, and everything, and thank God they finally fixed the little chairs here in the conference room, in case anybody was curious. So, yay! That's a fun little thing. But, anyways, let's dive right into the articles. We have the patch notes for the 6th.
Yep. Not too much for the PC patch notes for this last Thursday. All they really did was update the contents for the Infinity Box. They added the stuff from the Undiscovered into the Infinity. Added the Cindy Aquatic Dreadnought Carrier, T6. And they were supposed to have a blog for it, never had a blog for it.
You mean the stats?
The following ship has been added to the lobby store. Zindi Reptilian Escort Tier 6.
Yeah, we got stats.
Yeah, there's stats.
Oh, okay. Some reason I didn't think those were the actual stats. And then the Zindi Reptilian and Zindi Aquatic Tier 5 ships have been removed from the Infinity Lockbox or lobby store.
But, yeah, not really a lot to that one. And we should mention, folks, that as far as the Undiscovered lockbox goes, this does include the ships such as the Prototype Dreadnought, or the Atlas Dreadnought as it's also called. This includes all three of those ships. Now, the main difference when getting it from the Infinity lockbox versus the actual Undiscovered box itself is when you go into the Infinity box to try to claim one of those ships, you will actually be given the ship for your appropriate faction. So it's no longer specifically just the choice pack. So if you're a Fed character and you open the Infinity pack on a Fed character, that's what you'll get. If you open the Infinity pack on a KDF character, you'll get the KDF ship, and so on for all the factions. But, yeah. Not really a lot to our patch notes and everything, but we will all the same have them in the notes for you guys. But, anyways, moving right along, speaking of stats, we actually do have our Tier 6 Infinity Tier 6 Infinity ship stats for the Zindi. I could not words for a moment.
But before you get into it,
Alright.
I love the aquatic ships. They're so beautiful.
He had to go there. He just had to
did.
go there.
Do you blame me? Tell me that ship's not beautiful. Tell me that ship's not beautiful.
I didn't say anything. But, I may actually get one myself since I've got a pack I'm sitting on. But anyway, getting into our article and everything, some of the stuff that actually was added to the Infinity Lockbox, we have the faction-specific starships, as I was mentioning before. For the Feds, it is the Atlas Prototype Dreadnought, Tier 6. For the KDF, it is the D9 Dreadnought, and for the Romulans, it is the Thry Dreadnought. The cross-faction pack for the consoles includes for the Feds, the Disruption Pulse Emitter or Secondary Shield Projector. For the KDF, you get the secondary shield projector or the hull ionization module. And for the Romulans, you get hull ionization or disruption pulse emitter. You also get some of the starship trait packs. You can see some of the options there, hopefully. Get the 23rd Century Duty Officer assignments, which are very great if you're trying to level a character or get for spec points. You also get the Undiscovered Bridge Officer training manuals, such as the Overload Integrity Field, the Structural Analysis, and Distributed Targeting. It's also where you get some Pulse Phasers and the Assault Phaser weapon packs. And speaking of our Xindi Aquatic ship, we have the Xindi Aquatic Briostris Dreadnought Carrier. Probably butchered the name, but...
Just.
Thank you. But anyways, this is the Tier 6 version of, I believe the Narcine is the one this one replaces. Everything. But as far as our stats go, we have a hull strength of 1.35. So that's 40,500 at level 40 when you could first open the ship, versus 54,000 base hull at level 60. It is a 4-3 layout in terms of weapons, 3 device slots. And for Bridge Officer seats, you have an Ensign Tactical, Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Science/Command, and Lieutenant Commander Universal/Intel. So a very flexible seating. Then you have, for consoles, 4 Tactical, 4 Engineering, 3 Science, and 9 degrees base turn per second. Then a plus 10 to weapon power, plus 10 to aux. Can equip dual cannons, has 2 hangar bays, subsystem targeting. Then you get the Enhanced Cascade Resonance Catalyst, which essentially vibrates the hulls of various ships, dealing damage based upon that. And the stream just about crapped on me for a minute, but... As far as the console itself, it gives a passive bonus to turn rate and exotic damage. Can only be equipped on Xindi ships. And it can be equipped in any slot, so it is a universal. Then the starship trait is the Chemosite Overload, which, while it is slotted, your first hit with a beam overload will cause a 2-kilometer radius explosion that deals radiation damage and reduces the damage resistance of affected foes. So, very interesting, I will say. Everything. We'll take a quick look at the Sisters Escort, and then we'll open up to the panel for thoughts and everything. For the Sisters, it starts with a hull strength of 1.1. You've got a 33,000 base hull at 40, 44,000 base hull at 60, shield modifier of 1.1, which is rather strong for a Raider, I believe, or a Raider-esque ship, I guess I should say. Then you have 5 forward weapons, 2 aft, 2 device slots. It has an Ensign Tactical, Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Engineering/Temp Ops, a Lieutenant Commander Science, and Lieutenant Universal/Pilot. It is a 5 Tactical, 4 Engineering, 2 Science layout, 17 base turn rate, 15 to weapon power, 5 to engines. Comes with the Enhanced Xindi Weapon Platform, and also has a heavy weapon slot for the Heavy Proton Charge. Can load dual cannons. Then the Heavy Proton Charge, you can see there, seeks out nearest foe within 10 kilometers, rushes towards them. Once close enough, detonates and deals damage within a 2-kilometer area. Also reducing the defense of foes in that area. Then, essentially, for your console, you could poof up a super weapon that will go around and shoot things essentially like the old Sphere Builder super weapon. Then, for the starship trait, it is the self-replicating hull. While it is slotted, activating aux to battery, aux to structural integrity, or aux to inertial dampers will provide a substantial boost to hull regeneration and energy damage resistance for a short time. So, very interesting stuff all around, but thoughts from the panel?
I'm already thinking of some interesting builds with these. They definitely, especially the aquatic one, looks, it's sparking ideas. I'll say that.
Oh yeah. My personal take to it is I'm happy to see more Zindi ships because you've seen quite a few of them due to Enterprise, and you're just like, I want to see that in the current setting, see how good they are against everything we have, and they're just really out there. They're just really strong, and I can't wait to see what any build that comes up because I'm just truly going to be amazed by any of these. I'm sure.
Well, I think too that people have been asking for an update to the Zindi ships since we got Tier 6, and so this was a long time coming. So, and I think at least on paper, it looks like they did a pretty good job. Since I haven't flown it, I won't say anything else.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And what about you, Sir Neela?
Give him the Zindi Aquatic any day. The fact that it's a carrier. And I'm at home flying carriers.
So, could this potentially replace your Carfi?
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I had to ask.
I never said what character.
Okay, fair enough.
Out of my 50 characters, I'm sure I could figure out a different character. And yes, people, I have 50 characters.
Does not surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me either.
No, not surprised. Not surprised a bit.
But, anyways, we will have this in the notes for you guys so you can check this out and everything. If you're definitely a Zindi fan, this should be the update you're looking for. But, moving along, we have our RP blog for this week, Tale of the Witch.
Okay, so as Darkblade has already said, the title for this RP blog is Tale of the Witch. You get to join Roddick in a little adventure to Nimbus 3. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say he gets to find out some things that has been hinted before and things that will be hinted to again, most likely in a new RP blog coming up soon, hopefully. And who knows, it may be pointed directly to in the new updates coming up. Personally, I'm excited for what this may hint onto, and I'm just ready for the Klingon Empire just to get shaken again like it did back in its early days, It's just,
Yes.
all that excitement right there again. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm definitely, I did read it. I was excited by it. I like it. I do like how they answered the question of Martok. That was good. But yeah, I am excited for how this is hinting into our new featured episode. It's coming out in 10 days. Wow. Yeah, I think it's exciting.
Sadly, I am behind on my RP blog reading, and I'll have to read this after the
For
show.
shame.
Yes, I know.
You saying you didn't do your homework?
In the words of Game of Thrones, shame, 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 shame.
Well, he's
Shame.
saying he didn't do
Shame.
his homework.
Shame. Shame.
He's saying he didn't do his homework. You're getting detention, sir. You know this.
Somebody please reboot the Neela.
Shame.
Oh no, his track fell off. Hold on, he's stuck on repeat.
Oh, Lord. But anyways,
Okay.
folks, we don't really like to say too much as far as the RP blogs because we don't want to spoil it for anybody that may not have read it yet and everything, but
It is a good read though, so I will recommend reading it as soon as possible. Most of the recent RP blogs have been top notch, so it's just right there into the action. it's right there. It's like reading online books, basically. It's just there. It's great.
But we will have this in the notes for you guys, so you can check that out. Definitely encourage you folks to read that. But moving along, we have the Win a Cabin for the second Star Trek cruise.
Yes, we do. So this time, STO is teaming up with GameSpot. So they're offering a second chance to win an ocean view cabin aboard the majestic Norwegian Jade on your choice of Voyage 1 or Voyage 2 of Star Trek The Cruise 2. So to enter, you head on over to GameSpot, and to enter the Trek in the Tropics Sweepstakes, the grand prize winner will enjoy a 6-day journey to Honduras, Belize, and Mexico with legendary Star Trek actors, and it lists them, and more. Airfare, and the important thing to remember, airfare and other travel charges are not included. So you're going to have to get to where it departs on your own. And they are also giving out an extremely limited number of Tier 6 Ferengi Negus Marauder ships. And this is for PC only. And as other consolation prizes, Star Trek Attack Wing prize packs from WizKids. It does give a link in the blog for you to click to enter. So you get the grand prize winner is the cabin and the STO legendary Tier 6 Ferengi Negus Marauder. And again, available on PC only. And the WizKids prize packs, they have 5 winners. And you can read those. And then there are accelerated officer training packs for STO, and this is again PC only, and there'll be 3,000 winners of those. And that's a 23rd century Constitution class cruiser, a large experience booster, and free gear requisitions from level 10 through 50. So those are the things, and it gives another link at the bottom to choose, and it gives a link where you can learn more about the cruise. So, I mean, it's a pretty good prize. Thoughts?
I'm excited. It's a very high chance, to really get in there and get a trip to the Star Trek The Cruise 2. I mean, that's exciting just on its own.
It is.
I mean, have you seen everyone that's already signed up to go? I mean, I believe George Takei is going to be there. It's just, as soon as Takei is going to be there, you know it's going to be a good time immediately.
Yep. So the ones they listed in the blog: Takei, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner. So looks like a lot of the TNG cast. And I did hear something about oh, good Lord. Meds. Jonathan Frakes.
Yes, I believe he's going to be there as well. I've been trying to follow up on social media. He's been pretty excited about it, but nothing I've been able to find out is confirmed yet.
Yeah, I read something. It caught my eye. But, yeah. And it is important to note, as I said, this is just the cabin. So you have to figure out how to get there and how to get back to your home, how to get to where the ship embarks or disembarks, and how to get home from the final port on your own.
And another thing with Frakes, I heard that he's also going to be maybe directing Discovery.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Episode.
Mm-hmm. I did hear about that as well.
From what I've seen from his previous works at directing, I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good proposition all around. But we will provide the links to everything so you can check out the blog and maybe enter the contest. Hopefully one of you guys watching out there ends up winning. But all the same and everything, we will be sure to give you all the links to that. But
Yes.
as far as our regular news articles and stuff, it's pretty much what we've got for that this evening and everything. There wasn't really a lot that came out this week. So, moving along.
Because it was a
right?
short week.
Yeah, it's really rather uneventful, I guess.
Yeah.
Most everything's getting geared towards the new season 13.5, so I can kind of see that.
No, it was a short week too because of the 4th.
This is true.
And that is true, I
Because of the
guess.
4th of July.
A bunch of people took vacation.
Yeah, I can believe that. But, anyways, moving right along, we have our budget build for this evening. Now, this week we're actually going to be concluding our series on the Amari-class Smuggler's Heavy Escort. This was one of the ships given away in one of the fairly recent R&D promos and everything. Now, one of the things I will mention straightforward is this is a high-end build. We've taken a look through the past weeks at our bare bones, which assumes a maximum EC limit of 2 million EC. You know, maybe you got lucky, you bought a random pack, you thought, what the heck, I'll try it, you got the ship. Or maybe you actually shelled out the EC to get the thing, and what you had left was just 2 million. Then we scaled that up a little bit and went into our mid-range budget, where we assume we had a maximum EC spending limit of 30 million EC and enough dilithium to take one single item up to epic quality. Now, finally, we're at the end game, the end of the road as far as building. We assume at this point in time there's no maximum EC spending limit and everything, but as far as that goes, this is the end product and everything. This is the end of the road. You've finally got your ship built out the way you want. You've got all the gear. You've got all the upgrades. Everything you need in order to work with the ship. But one thing I will mention as far as the builder that I've mentioned the past couple times we did this ship is that on the builder it actually shows it as a 4-2 layout when in actuality it is a 5-2 weapons layout, so it is still missing a thing in the builder. There should actually be a 4th dual bank there. But as far as our weapons and everything goes, we've been using polarons in order to kind of take advantage of that. Now, as far as our forward weapons go, we have our chronometric polaron beam array, and then we have 4 of the fleet dual polaron beam banks. These are the DMG-3 Crit Ds. Now, we replaced our original budget dual banks with this particular type of beam and everything because the mods are a bit more consistent. We know what we've got, and in my opinion, it's a lot easier to get them to epic knowing what you actually have. Then, as far as our rear weapons, we actually have 2 Polaron Omnis. We've got the chronometric Polaron, and then we also have the crafted Polaron Omni. Now, the crafted Polaron Omni will, once you get it to epic, of course, be a random mod as far as that goes. The chronometric, we discussed, actually got a damage modifier, so fairly good there. And then the heavy weapon was the epic slam shot artillery. Everything. I believe this one, if I am not mistaken, actually, okay, it did not get a modifier actually. But anyways, as far as our deflector, shields, engines, warp core, we've been using the Jem'Hadar set as far as our tank set goes. Now, the Jem'Hadar set is actually an old favorite of mine. Everything. It was one of the first sets that I actually used when I started tanking. But has a very high regen on some of the items, and the bonuses that it gives to Polaron is one of the reasons we wanted to use it. Then as far as the warp core and everything, We had to source a warp core because, of course, the Jem'Hadar set, being an older set, did not actually come with one. And the one that we've been using is the Temporal Phase Overcharged core. Now this one comes from the Butterfly mission, everything, and the reason we've been using this one is because of the warp core capacitor that it actually has. Now the warp core capacitor, if you're familiar with the Delta Recruitment event, then you're familiar with the Temporal Negotiator. The Temporal Negotiator is a device that whenever you use it, cuts your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration, and you essentially get that in the form of a warp core capacitor. Now, this is actually a favorite warp core for us to use on the budget end because of just how potent that it is. Then once we move down into our devices, we have 2 device slots and everything. We always like to think of devices as personal preference, but there is a device that we like to keep handy, and that is the Subspace Field Modulator. This is a very nice little device you get from the Skirmish mission. It gives a pretty decent little boost to your defenses and everything for a short time. And the only downside to the device is it does give a rather nasty debuff to proton damage. Now, we hadn't really been talking about the debuff that it gave for a while because there weren't really that many enemies in game that actually used the proton damage. But with a few more actually starting to use it, we felt like it was something we did want to touch base on. As far as our console layout goes, this is where most of the change to the ship and everything actually took place. As far as our consoles go, we did swap a few things around. For engineering, we took our piezoelectric focuser from the Lucari Rep to Epic. Now the reason we used that console was for the Polaron boost that it gave, as well as some of the other buffs that it gives us. Everything, and it essentially functions as an additional tactical console geared towards Polaron. Now since this is our high-end build, we assume you've had time to accumulate some resources and everything, and we actually brought some of the low-buy consoles into play. Now, one of the ones that we used was the Bioneural Infusion Circuits. This is a very nice console from low-buy. It costs 200 low-buy to purchase. So you'll need to open up some lockboxes and everything to get that low buy. Now, this console in and of itself at Epic is worth 25% critical severity for free, just by having this on the ship. And that is absolutely nothing to sneeze at all, especially whenever it comes to escorts and other crit-heavy ships. For our science consoles, we actually replaced our assimilated module with the tachyokinetic converter. This is another console from low-buy, and basically the difference between the assimilated module and the tachyokinetic is they give similar stats, but the tachyokinetic also gives some turn rate to the ship. So it's essentially, the best way I know how to describe it, is an RCS console slammed together with an assimilated module, if that makes any bit of sense. Now, I realize some people may actually wanted to have kept the bonuses from the assimilated module. So one thing I did put in the notes for you guys is you could consider removing one of the Crenum Lab consoles and just run 2 of them while keeping your assimilated and tachyokinetic. And as far as our other science consoles, we had the tachyokinetic, or not the tachyokinetic, the restorative particle focusers. I can't words. I'm thinking I'm starting to get a contact with Alpha Kirby. But,
Hey, now. Hey, I think it's Timber. You know, you joined the channel. You brought in a lot of, you know.
Yep.
You know, he just disrupted the Zen. Hi, Timber.
Okay, oh, he's actually one channel above. He's got his mic muted at the moment.
Oh, is he? Oh, yep. Sorry. I heard him join a channel. I forgot. I thought it was this one.
I thought it was too for a minute, actually. But, as far as our science consoles go, we do have 3 of the restorative particle focusers from the Crenum Science. There he is. And we moved him down here.
Yes.
But
Hey, you got any of that stuff, man? I was looking for a dealer. Yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah, like you're gonna tell me that bullshit, and then I'm not gonna act on it.
And in case people are wondering what he's referring to, there was a rather comical incident on our TeamSpeak and everything. It's kind of become an inside joke and everything. Oh my God, I can't believe we're telling this on air. But, yeah, rather comical incident on TeamSpeak and everything. But we'll spare everybody the details so we can at least keep it to PG-13 on here.
Yes.
But,
And let's finish with your budget build.
Yep. But, continuing on, our restorative particle focusers are 3 of the Draenex ×2s. This is to buff our Polaron damage as well as take advantage of some of the exotic stuff that we have on the ship. For our tactical consoles and everything, we have the chronometric capacitor. And then, since we're showing the final results and we've gotten to the high end now with this ship, we've replaced our directed energy manifolds with 4 of the vulnerability locators from the Spire. These are geared towards Polarons. So, hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm going for as far as the console layout and everything. I did leave some stuff in the notes for you guys, so you can kind of experiment with the variations a bit and see exactly what I was doing there. As far as our bridge officer layout, we didn't really change anything as far as our BOF powers goes, but as far as the ship itself goes, we have a Lieutenant Commander Universal / Intel. Now for this seat, I made it in Engineer. We have our Override Subsystems 1, Reverse Shield Polarity 1, and then Emergency to Weapons 3. This allows us to essentially BS a bunch of power and gives us some nice defensive abilities in the form of the reverse shields, and extra power from emergency to weapons is nice too. Then for our Commander Tactical seat, we have a Tactical Team 1, an Attack Pattern Beta 1, a FA 3, and an Attack Pattern Omega 3. This way we can kind of rotate our attack patterns or change them as needed. But then for our Lieutenant Tactical / Pilot seat, we have a Chemosite-laced Weaponry 1, and then a Hold Together 1. For our Ensign Engineering, we have a Engineering Team 1. That allows us to regen some hull, as well as purging certain debuffs. Then for our Lieutenant Commander Science, we have a Science Team 1, because it does provide a nice little healing to the shields, as well as purges certain debuffs, such as those pesky subnucleonic effects. Then we have our Hazard Emitters 2, to purge certain debuffs, as well as providing a heal over time. Then finally we have our Gravity Well 1, which is still a very nice control power in today's game, and will actually benefit from our restorative particle focusers, as long as we're using our healing powers. But essentially, that's what we have Bridge Officer power-wise. Hopefully you guys can kind of see where I'm going with that. Can pair a bunch of the abilities together, get a nice burst damage out of it if you need to. For our skills, it's pretty much a basic build. You've seen me use a fair amount of times on here now. I try to keep this somewhat balanced. I actually do not use any of the ultimate abilities and everything. Personally, I've never really been a fan of them. I know a lot of people like them. They are very useful and everything, but they're just not really my cup of tea. But anyways, you can kind of see what I did there. Some extra hull and shield cap, as well as some shield restoration and hull restoration at the lieutenant level. Also maxed out our advanced energy weapon training. Then for our Lieutenant Commander, we picked up the improved EPS flow, a point in impulse expertise. We picked up the improved control and drain X. We've also maxed out our targeting expertise to offset some of the penalty to FA and other firing modes. We've also maxed out our defensive maneuvering, making us harder to hit, hopefully. We've also maxed out at the commander level our hull platings for extra defensive value. 2 points into improved shield hardness to improve our damage reduction to the shields. Then we've maxed out our weapon specialization and our amplification. Now it should be noted that on the builder they've still not changed the values over. As of Season 13 you only get a 4% crit chance bonus from weapon specialization, and then I believe it was a 40% bonus from amplification, so very well worth maxing them out. At the captain level we have defensive subsystem and offensive subsystem tuning for extra power. 2 points into the exotic particle gens to buff our gravity well and other such powers. Then we've maxed out our long-range targeting sensors. That reduces our drop-off penalty and is very nice to have. Then it's either your choice of the shield penetration or the hull penetration abilities. I personally slotted the shield pen on this, whereas Kirby prefers the hull pen. There really is no right or wrong answer as to which one you pick. As long as you have one of them, I believe you're going to do pretty good. It basically comes down to, what do you value more? Do you value getting through the shields faster, or do you value bypassing more of their armor? It can be argued either way, and both actually have their pros and cons. But we'll leave that one up to you guys. Then finally, at the Admiral level, we have the Warp Core potential for a bit of extra power, and then I actually kept the shield absorption because it does still negate a few of the heavy hits that you're going to be taking as a tank. For our specializations, I've actually been using pilot intel a little bit and everything to mix things up a bit, because I like some of the buffs that intel gives and everything, and also for the immunities and benefits that pilot gives. As far as our traits go, for our personal space traits, we have the Accurate to further offset the fall penalty, as well as the other firing modes. We have Beam Barrage as one of our R&D traits. We always like to assume that you've leveled 1, maybe 2 of the schools as you've brought your character up, and we assume that Beams is the one that you chose in this case. We also have Beam Training for free increase to damage there. Elusive for free defense value. And then the STO Academy Builder actually defaults to engineers, so we're using the Grace Under Fire career-specific trait. If you are not an engineer, then you'll just swap that out for your career-specific trait. Then finally, for some of our money traits and everything, we had the Biotech Patch as a nice little trait. We also had the Pattern Recognition for some other defensive values. Then we also have Point Blank Shot from the House Peg mission to increase damage the closer you are to the target. And then finally we have the Ablative Shell as a very nice trait to have also. Then as far as Starship traits go, we kind of left it with the 3 that we've been using and everything, because a lot of the more commonly used high-end traits are locked behind certain C-store ships and everything, and we did want to keep this more towards the budget end, even though it is a higher-end build and whatnot. I did include some traits that I personally use in the notes and everything. That way, whenever you guys are able to acquire some of the C-store traits or so on, then you'll have an idea of some of the ones that we like to use. Everything. Those ones in the notes are not required for you to use, but are some of the ones we personally have found success with. For our space reps, we have assumed that you've unlocked the 5th trait slot by now. We have the advanced engines for extra flight speed and turn rate. This kind of helps us keep our dual banks on target a bit easier. Then we also have our advanced targeting systems for free severity. Chronocapacitor to reduce our bridge officer cooldowns, the precision for free crit hit, and then an old favorite that I like to use some is the Aux Power Offensive. For the active reputations, We have Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. It is still a nice little kick in the pants, even in today's game, especially if you've got a lot of exotic damage behind it. Biomolecular Shield Generator. This is the big green poofy sphere that you see a lot of people using in certain missions. And we also have our Quantum Singularity Manipulation. Now, the combo that we like to do, myself and Kirby, as well as I believe Timberwolf does this too sometimes, is we pop our Quantum Singularity Manipulation first, follow up with any other exotic buffs we're using, then we'll throw out our Gravity Wells and a lot of our other exotic powers that we may be using. And it's an even greater kick in the pants than before. And then finally we have our Deploy Sensor Interference platform. This is a personal favorite of mine when tanking. If I need to buy myself just a couple of seconds to throw a heal or something along those lines, then I can throw this out, it'll taunt off of me, and hopefully get me the time that I need. But as far as the notes go, I did include some different stuff for you guys, telling you where to get everything, and did calculate some of the costs out. As far as the total cost, you're looking at about 115,500 to lithium, 305,000 fleet credits. I realize that is a lot to some people, but keep in mind this is at the higher end. We assume you've had time to invest in the build, you've put a bit of resources in and everything. Now this also does include just the cost for the items at their base. This doesn't include anything to take them to the epic qualities that we saw in the builder.
Right.
We assume
basically,
that... go ahead.
I think what we're assuming is that you came to us, you started with the bare bones build, and then you gained more resources.
Seb was moved to your channel, Kirby, after dark on Teacher's Corner.
The mid-range build, and then you kept putting
Disconnected
more and more
from
resources
Teacher's Corner.
into it. I think is what we're assuming here, as part of this, series of you start with the bare bones, you move to mid-range, and this is what it looks like as a budget build at the end.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm going for is, this assumes that you've bought the base items, then maybe over time you may have been upgrading, and ultimately this just shows what it could potentially turn into, and everything once everything is maxed out. It shows some of the modifiers you get for certain weapons and everything. It shows some of the benefits you might get at Epic, and maybe down the road you will have everything turned to Epic Gold. Everything by the time you use this particular build and everything. But
Right.
then as far as our EC goes, I did calculate out the costs for the original Omni Beam, some of the traits and everything we used. Now as far as our lockbox keys go, how we determined what we would need to get the 400 low buy. Essentially, we took the average number of low buy that you get for a key, which is around 7 low buy. Then we took the current rate of keys, which is about 5 million, and we figured out how many keys you would need to get in order to get
400.
to the 400 low buy, assuming the current rate. Now that's about 58 keys. That assumes, of course, you only get the 7 low buy average, which comes out to about a total of, for everything, 316 million. You may as well say 317. Again, we realize that's a lot, but we're assuming by now you've had some time to invest in the build. Maybe you've stocked some resources back. Maybe you've invested some cash into the game. Maybe you've flipped Zen to Dill, and so on. However you've come across it, that's what we're assuming. Now, you might be able to get away with less keys than that. You may get really lucky. And it could flip you the bird, too. Hopefully it doesn't do that, but I have seen it happen a few times. Total build time we're looking at, assuming just to acquire the items at their base, is 15 days due to lithium refinement. That also assumes only a single tune is operating and capping out every day. But anyways, we've taken our Amari and we've built it up from bare bones. We've shown what you can do on that limited of a budget. Then we moved more to our mid-range. We've assumed maybe you've had a little bit more resources to put into it. You kind of know where you're wanting to go with it and everything. And then finally, we have our high-end ship, which assumes a completed ship. You've dumped as much resources into it as you need, and you finally got it where you want it. But anyways, that's pretty much all we have as far as our budget build for this week. If you've got any particular ships you want to see us do a budget build over, then feel free to let us know. Tell us, we want this particular ship, this is our budget, it's more of a bare bones, it's a mid-range, it's a high-end, whatever it is you're looking for, and we'll see what we can't do for you. As far as the Bugs Corner this week, for some odd reason, it would not let me access the forums to grab the bug things I was going to do for you guys, but
Definitely a bug in itself.
No. That's a bug.
Yeah, that is a bug. That is one thing. The forums were flipping me the bird, so yeah. I should say the regular reports I was going to grab and everything I couldn't get to. But yeah, that's...
You still have the top secret reports.
We do have those. But...
Yes. But they're top secret.
Yeah. Let's just say I fear the wrath of Bordicus and Ambassador Kale if they knew I talked about those. But...
Yes.
But in seriousness and everything, we are working on a lot of bugs for you guys and everything. I know I don't always get to talk about some of the things that I would like to until after they're fixed and everything. Whatnot. I know that does sound like a cop-out to some people, but given the nature of some of the stuff that I have to deal with, I hope you guys can understand. But moving along, we have our Teacher's Corner for this week. And what have you got for us, TeacherKirby?
Well, it's again summer themed since we're still in the midst of the summer event. So this week, I looked at how to make the summer tribbles. Because it is a question I get quite often. How do you make those darn tribbles? I don't know. So I went over how to make them. I went over what each one does, both during the summer event and after the summer event, if you keep them in your device slot and activate them. So there you go. Comments, questions?
Very simple, very easy. I like these because they give you some really good buffs during the event, and even a lot more buffs even after the event. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely check that out, especially if you're looking to mess around with the summer event. I would highly recommend you check that out, because you can never have too many tribbles. Well, actually,
they're very helpful. They're very helpful for doing the races and hunting Orgons.
Yeah, get them
So, yeah.
summer favors. But we will have a link to Teacher's video for you guys, so you can check that out and everything. And highly advise you do that if you're looking to do the summer event, because, like she said, the triples, they do help. But anyways, we're coming up on our final segment of the evening, where we have the RP Corner with Artie. What have you got for us this week, dude?
Okay, so, as you know, there are plenty of RP fleets out there. I've decided to take it upon myself to actually advertise a little bit for a few fleets that I well know due to personal experience. Just simple enough. I don't mean, make it look like that they're in the golden light and all that. I'm just saying that these are a few good fleets that I know by personal experience that I recommend you guys go to anyway. If you're looking for a fleet either way. If you don't RP, that's one thing, but it's a good fleet either way. First up, you got the 38th Fleet Argo. Roleplay-wise, their starbase, which is Deep Space 13, is stationed out in Aldebaran sector. Alright, their current mission is to since the Iconian War is over and there's not much of a giant war, they're not in the war with the Tinkethi or anything, since they're not near there. They've decided to take it upon themselves to explore the local space, which is, even though you don't see it on the sector map, it's literally 2 sectors over to the right, to the left of where the Aldebaran sector is. And they're doing some really good RP events and just truly exploring things. I mean, you run into pirates, and every so often you run into new species. It's first contact, and it's great. If you really want to get your character in there, it's usually simple. They have a application process, as most of these RP fleets do. And trust me, from personal experience, you will like these guys. They're funny. They have really good character backstories. And trust me, you'll just truly have fun if you just go visit, even if you're not part of the fleet. Next up is the 26th Fleet, an oldie but a goodie. These guys have been around for a very long time, and their Starbase 381 Praetorian, is stationed out over in a, now stick with me with this one, PTX 1138, a dwarf galaxy right below the Milky Way galaxy. They nicknamed it the Outback due to its accessibility through a wormhole, I believe, near New Australia colony. I believe that's the story that they stuck with, because I remember during the first days that's what it was. Those were the golden days, I guess you can say. But they're a good fleet. They have plenty of events doing similar exploration missions, run into other new species and such, and sometimes run into a couple of Klingons and Romulans that just I don't like following Federation rules. I'm going to do something about it. And that just happens. Oh well. But trust me, they're in the same boat as Argo. They're really good guys, very helpful. You may have heard a couple things here and there. Not everything you hear is true about the fleet. A lot of them is still really good RPers. Don't worry. And lastly, you have Task Force Zenas. I personally love this fleet, as I helped create it with my own hand with quite a few other good RPers. They're, as from the name, are stationed out in the Zenas Expanse, on the far-flung other side of what's left of the Cardassian Union, on a little starbase known as Starbase Archer. Their starbase is, as you see in-game, the standard-looking starbase. Nothing too exciting with them, but they have similar species that you would see with the 26th, but they're, how do I put it, more aggressive, I guess you can say. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of exploration, a lot of adventure. You know, the true nitty-gritty of RPing down in there. If you want to be on the frontier, like how you see in first season of Deep Space Nine, that's the place to go, because you'll be there going frontier medicine, meeting new people, and if I don't know your biology, give me a week, sort of thing. They're a pretty fun group, and trust me, as personal experience, as I usually run with these guys almost every day, these guys are some of the best, I have to say, as an RP community. I know I don't mean to, sprinkle sugar on this one, but they're really good at what they do. I know I may be, only sectioning out these 3, but these are only a few of the good fleets I know. There are plenty of others, and if you feel like recommending some to me, I will look into it, and I'll advertise for them next time. But, there you go. If you have any questions, let me know.
Cool.
There we have it.
There we have it.
Yeah, that's always good to know for a lot of people looking to get into RP and everything, and I definitely trust Artie's judgment and everything. He says they're good fleets. Well, I guess they must be good fleets then. Otherwise, he wouldn't advertise for them. But anyways, folks, that's pretty much what we've got for a show for this evening. We'll have all this stuff up in the notes and everything once the local recording goes up, as limited as the notes will actually be, and everything this time around. But anyways, we hope you found the information of use and everything. If you'd like to see us out at Las Vegas and everything, we do have the GoFundMe and everything, so you can kind of help us out there. Maybe gather some more impromptu interviews like TeacherKirby was able to get and everything. Every little bit helps and whatnot, even if it's just spreading the word and everything. We are grateful for any and all support on that front that you guys want to give us, because without you all out there, we wouldn't even have a show. But as I said earlier, if you've got any specific budget builds you'd like us to do, feel free to let us know what you're looking for. Maybe it's a tank, a support, a science type person, DPS. Let us know what your budget is, and we'll see what we can't come up with for you and everything. Also, a good shout out to our friends over at the Temporal Armada, who have been kind enough to support us and everything, kind enough to sponsor us and everything. They're a pretty cool group of guys. You should definitely check out their radio show as well. Speaking of radio shows, also a proud partner with the Kurtang Pirate Radio. These are another cool bunch of guys. It's their logo and everything there. But definitely advise y'all to check them out and everything if you appreciate good radio. But anyways, if you have bug reports and everything, feel free to let me know. If there's something that you feel like the devs aren't seeing, feel free to pass it on to me. If you know my @tag in game, feel free to hunt down one of these screwballs and hand it to them. They'll be sure to get it to me and everything.
We will. We will. We like trying to make him aneurysm.
They're very good at it, actually. It's terrifying how good they are at it. But
I have technological paperweights just for this instance.
oh god, he totally would. But anyways, folks, that's pretty much our show for this week. For now, this is the Pilot Review Show, and we're warping on out of here.
Bye.
See you guys.